Good afternoon. Thank you all for coming. I'm amazed we all fit in. So, this is the final of the house quiz. It's going to consist of 3 rounds. It's going to be a buzzer round, a quickfire round, and an arts round. The quickfire round will allow 2 minutes per team in which you have to answer as many general knowledge questions as you possibly can. Your team may confer, but only your first answer will be accepted. If more than one answer is called out simultaneously, I will ask for one agreed answer. Teams may say pass, but wrong answers are not penalised, so you may as well have a guess. Any answers to missed questions or incorrect questions will be given after the clock ends. In the event of a tie, there will be an elimination round wherein teams answer general knowledge questions, gaining 1 point for a correct answer. That will be the first of 3 to find out who goes through to the next round. A team will be eliminated at the end of every round. So, without any further ado, TC, you're about to have your quickfire round. Thomas Cooks, are you ready?
Yes. Probably.
In that case, we'll start. The time starts now. What is the highest number used in a Sudoku puzzle?
9.
Correct. Who is Batman's sidekick?
Robin.
Correct. Which religious festival begins with the sighting of the new moon?
Pass.
What is Grandpa Simpson's first name?
Abraham.
Correct. In a Spanish restaurant, if you ask for la quenta, what do you get?
Pass.
What is the second largest city in the Republic of Ireland?
Belfast.
Incorrect. Name the X-Man who shoots laser beams from his eyes.
Pardon?
Name the X-Man who shoots laser beams from his eyes.
Pass.
Traditional Advent candles are 2 colours, pink and what?
Blue.
Incorrect. In music, if F major is the key, what is the relative minor?
Is that a pause? Or I don't know.
Incorrect, no. What 2 things did God create on the 5th day of creation?
Was it birds and animals?
No, I don't think so.
Is it birds and animals?
Yes, it is. What was the first Carry On film called?
Pardon?
What was the first Carry On film called?
Pass.
In which US state was Bob Dylan born?
Tennessee?
Incorrect. Okay. In France, if you were served la mille, what would you eat?
Honey.
Correct. In which country was Auschwitz-Birkenau?
Poland.
Correct.
Oh.
Who lost the 1932 US election to Roosevelt?
Hoover.
Correct. What's the first day of Lent known as?
Shrove Tuesday?
Incorrect.
Wednesday.
Which country has the smallest birth rate?
Germany.
Incorrect. According to his business card, what did Al Capone do?
Pass.
Which common legal term literally means under penalty?
Pass.
What is the common name for the star Sirius?
The dog star.
Correct. Which digit does not exist in Roman numerals?
0.
Correct. That's your time, TC. Thank you very much. You scored 8 points. We're going through the quick ones. Okay, the common legal term is subpoena. According to his business, Al Capone sold second-hand furniture. The Vatican City is the country with the smallest birth rate. Ash Wednesday is the first day of Lent. Bob Dylan was born in Minnesota. Carry On Sergeant is the first Carry On film. D minor is the relative minor. Purple is the other candle colour. Cyclops is the other X-Man. And Cork is the second largest city in the Republic of Ireland. Thank you very much. Lupton, you're about to have your quickfire round. Are you ready?
Yeah, sure.
Awesome. Your time starts now. Zambia and Zimbabwe used to be called what?
Pass.
What is the capital of Morocco?
Casablanca.
Incorrect. In 1901, which brand of car was seen for the first time?
Mercedes.
Correct. Which Spanish painter had his first exhibition at age 16?
Pass.
Diwali and Holi are religious days in which religion?
Hinduism.
Correct. In which country can you find the Negev Desert?
Pass.
Who wrote Gulliver's Travels?
Michael Mapago.
Incorrect. Consumption was the former name of which disease?
Pass.
Where in France do Claret wines come from?
Bordeaux.
Bordeaux, correct. What is the correct term to address the Pope with?
Your Eminence, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Whose autobiography was entitled The Long Walk to Freedom?
Nelson Mandela.
Correct. What is the largest state in the United States of America?
Alaska.
Correct. What was the first James Bond film called?
Dr. No.
Correct. Where did the Pied Piper play?
London.
Pass.
What type of acid is used in car batteries?
Lithium.
Incorrect. Aer Lingus is the national airline of which country?
Pardon?
Aer Lingus is the national airline of which country?
Republic of Ireland.
Correct. Who sang the song 9 till 5?
Dolly Parton.
Correct. Who has won the most Oscars?
Pass.
Which award has the words for valor on it?
Pass.
That was the Victoria Cross. Thank you very much, Lupton. You scored 9 points. Walt Disney has won the most Oscars. Sulfuric acid is used in car batteries. It's the Pied Piper of Hamelin. Tuberculosis was formerly known as consumption. Jonathan Swift wrote Gulliver's Travels. You find in the Negev Desert in Israel. Pablo Picasso had his first exhibition age 16. The capital city of Morocco is Rabat. And Zambia and Zimbabwe used to be called Rhodesia. Thank you very much. Schoolhouse, you have your quickfire questions now. Are you ready?
Yes.
In that case, the time starts now. What is the name of Dennis the Menace's dog?
Nasher.
Correct. What was given on the 4th day of Christmas?
4 calling birds.
Correct. Who starred as Rocky Balboa?
Sylvester Stallone.
Correct. Where in your body is the patella?
Your knee.
Correct. Which king was the intended target of the gunpowder plot?
James,
James
the second.
First.
Can I have one answer, please?
James the First.
Correct. What is Europe's largest port?
Venice.
Incorrect. Which country awards the Nobel Peace Prize?
Sweden.
Incorrect. What is the official language of Egypt?
Arabic.
Correct. In which 1956 film did Elvis Presley make his debut?
Pass.
Pass.
What is measured on the Toro scale?
Pass.
What country invented cheesecake?
America.
Incorrect. Whose first book was Down and Out in Paris and London?
Pass.
Name Harry Potter's non-magical cousin.
Dudley.
Correct. Who is known as being the father of poetry?
Shakespeare.
Incorrect. In what country is the Duma part of Parliament?
India.
Incorrect. Where did bubble tea originally come from?
China.
Incorrect. Which country won the 2014 Football World Cup?
Germany.
Correct. What is the name of Donald Trump's first wife?
Ivana.
Correct. Which famous Formula One driver suffered a head injury while skiing?
Michael Schumacher.
Correct. Other than sugar, what is the main ingredient in marzipan?
Almonds.
Correct. Which film is the highest grossing film of all time?
Avatar.
Correct. How many films do the Kung Fu Panda film franchise consist
3.
of?
3.
Correct. Thank you, Schoolhouse. That's your time. You scored 13 points. All right. Taiwan is where bubble tea originally came from. The Duma is part of the Russian parliament. Homer is the father of poetry. George Orwell's first book was Down and Out in Paris and London. Greece apparently invented cheesecake. The tornadoes are measured on the Toro scale. Love Me Tender was Elvis Presley's first film in 1956. Norway is the country that awards the Nobel Peace Prize. And Rotterdam is Europe's largest port. So Hausman, it's your quickfire round now. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Your time starts now. What kind of animal is Master Oogway in Kung Fu Panda?
Turtle.
One answer, please. Sorry.
Turtle.
Correct, yes, tortoise. What is the first name of the youngest child of Duke William and Kate of Cambridge?
Pass.
No.
Which first name was Caitlyn Jenner born with?
Bruce.
Correct. What is the name of the US-American serial killer who raped and murdered at least 30 young women between 1974 and 1978?
Was the Zodiac Killer?
Correct. What is the highest mountain in our solar system?
Pass.
What is the name of the Egyptian god of the dead and the underworld?
Osiris.
Correct. Who is the Greek god of war?
Aries.
Correct. In which year did the Titanic sink?
1912.
Correct. What does Alice follow down a hole into Wonderland?
A rabbit.
Correct. In which galaxy do we live?
The Milky Way.
Correct. How many points are scored for a touchdown in American football?
A 7.
Incorrect, it's 6. Who sang Yellow Submarine?
The Beatles.
Correct. Which Dutch painter cut half of his ear off?
Vincent van Gogh.
Correct. What colour is chlorophyll?
Green.
Yellow.
One answer, please.
Green.
Colorless.
One answer, please.
Green.
Green.
Correct. How many players are there in a baseball team?
Repeat.
Incorrect. In which city is the Cathedral of Notre Dame?
Paris.
Correct. What is the national sport of Japan?
Judo.
Incorrect. What colour is the middle stripe of the French flag?
White.
White.
Correct. What language do the people of Brazil speak?
Portuguese.
Correct. In which year was the Great Fire of London?
Pass. 1564.
In the current UK Parliament, who is the Speaker of the House of Commons?
John Burkle.
Correct. What is the hardest natural substance?
Diamond.
Correct. Thank you, Hausman. That's your time. You scored 15 points. The Great Fire of London was in 1666. Sumo wrestling is the national sport of Japan. There are 9 players in a baseball team. Olympus Mons is the highest mountain in our solar system. Louis is the name of the first child of William and Kate. And that's it. Thank you very much. So, at the end of that round, Thomas Cooks, you scored the lowest amount of points, so please leave the stage. Just a note to the audience as well, obviously, if you think you know the answer, that's fantastic, and if you want to whisper it to your friend, great, but please do it quietly so that they can't hear it on stage. So this is now the buzzer round, which we'll be moving on to for you 3 teams. This will last 20 minutes. You're going to compete to answer general knowledge questions, which will then be followed by subject-specific bonus questions. The first team to press their buzzer will be named by me and then must answer immediately. I'm going to give you about 2 or 3 seconds to answer. There can be no conferring, and any delay above 2 or 3 seconds will be penalised. An incorrect answer or delay will result in a deduction of -2 points from the team's score. If the answer is wrong or delayed, I will simply say incorrect, at which point the question will be open again to the floor for the other teams to answer. A second wrong answer will then end that question, and I'll ask a new one. A correct answer from a lower member, so that's anyone in the 4th and 5th form, will score 2 points. A correct answer from an upper member will score 1 point. Hausman, as you're all in the 6th form, you all score 1 point. If the answer is correct, the team will then get 2 bonus questions, 1 for the lower members and 1 for the upper members. The group who get the bonus question may confer, but upper members cannot help lower members, and vice versa. Each bonus point will be 1 point. In the event of a tie, there will be an elimination round where teams answer general knowledge questions, gaining 1 point for the correct answer, again, in the same manner as before, 1st to 3. So, are you all ready for the buzzer round? Fantastic. Where is Beirut? Yes, Hausman.
Lebanon.
Correct. So your first subject-specific question is on English. This is for your lower years, so this is for the lower sixth. What is the name of Mary Shelley's famous monster?
Frankenstein.
Incorrect. He doesn't actually have a name, he's only referred to as Frankenstein's monster. In his essay, upper years, sorry. In his essay, A Mode's Proposal, what food did Jonathan Swift suggest the Irish families feed their children in times of famine?
Potatoes.
Incorrect. Opening up to the floor. What is the chief river of Ghana? Schoolhouse Upper.
The Volta.
Correct. Schoolhouse, you have a question on languages. For your lower year, how do you say thank you very much in German?
Dankeschön.
Yes. What is the word for girl in German for the upper years?
Mädchen.
Correct. Opening again to the floor. Indices is the plural form of which word? Hausman.
Index.
Correct. Hausman, your bonus questions are on history. How many years long was the Spanish Civil War? For your lower years, sorry.
3.
Correct. Upper. What was Johann Gutenberg famous for inventing?
So can you repeat?
What was Johann Gutenberg famous for inventing?
Computer.
Incorrect, it was the printing press. Opening back up to the floor. A bitzer is an Austrian word for which animal? Hausman.
Rabbit.
Incorrect. Opening up again to the floor. I think I'll move that question on. Just a reminder from Alio as well, an incorrect answer is minus 2 points. What is the British English word for eggplant? Hausman. Correct. This is for your lower years. How many presidents have there been of the United States?
45.
Correct. For your upper years, in which borough of New York was US President Donald Trump born in?
Queens.
Correct. To the floor. What is a champignon? Schoolhouse lower. It is a mushroom. I'm not going to argue with that, you're very angry. For your lower years, how many years did the United Nations recently report we have to solve the current environmental crisis to avoid catastrophic tipping point?
30.
Incorrect, it's 12. Upper years. What is a keystone species?
A what?
A keystone species.
Endangered.
Incorrect. It's a species that has a disproportionately large effect on its natural environment. Opening to the floor. Which two primary colours are mixed to make purple? Hausman.
Red and blue.
Correct. Your subject-specific questions will be on languages. For your lower years, what is the German word for love?
Liebe.
Correct. Upper years. According to Paolo, what do you say if you want to flirt with an Italian girl?
Come on, Josh.
Spaghetti.
Apparently, it's ciao bella. Opening to the floor. What does a hippologist study? Hausman.
History.
Incorrect. Opening to the floor again. What does a hippologist study? I think I'll move that question on. In which play by Shakespeare does the character Beatrice appear? Hausman.
What you do about nothing?
Correct. Your subject-specific questions will be on physics. For your lower years, name one liquid which is denser than iron.
Mercury.
Correct. For your upper years, what are the most distant observed objects in the universe?
Sorry, can you repeat it?
What are the most distant observed objects in the universe?
Oh, in the universe.
In the universe.
Stars. No, black.
Black holes.
Incorrect, it's quasars. Which actor played James Bond in Schoolhouse Lower? Have a guess.
Daniel Craig.
Incorrect. Which actor played James Bond in Goldeneye? Lupton Upper.
Pierce Brosnan.
Correct.
What was his name?
As I said when we were in the room, I'd recommend that you wait until I finished asking the questions. Lupton, for your lower years, excuse my pronunciation, but what does ni hao ma mean in Mandarin?
How are you?
Correct. How did I do with that? For your upper years, oh my God. What does dui buki mean in Mandarin? What does dui buki mean in Mandarin? Shall I move on? Yeah. I apologise if I offended anyone. It aptly means I'm sorry. Opening to the floor. What is the colour of the ball worth 6 points in snooker? Schoolhouse Lower.
Pink.
Correct. Schoolhouse, your subject-specific questions are going to be on religious studies. For your lower years, what name is given to the belief that after death, the soul is reborn into a different body to live again in this world?
Reincarnation.
Correct. For your upper years, which system of ethics, inspired by Aristotle, proposes that the development of mind and character, rather than the action itself, determines morality?
Aristotelian ethics.
Incorrect, but good try. It was virtue ethics. Opening to the floor. Who was represented in Greek mythology by wearing winged sandals? Schoolhouse Upper.
Hermes.
Correct. Schoolhouse, your subject-specific questions will be on politics. Which German political leader was known as the Iron Chancellor?
That'd be Angela Merkel.
Incorrect, it was Otto von Bismarck. For your upper years, who was the leader of Labour in the 1983 election?
What was the question again?
Who was the leader of the Labour Party in the 1983 general election?
No idea.
It was Michael Foot. Opening up to the floor again. Which archangel announced the birth of John the Baptist to Zachariah? Schoolhouse Upper.
Gabriel.
Correct. Schoolhouse, your subject-specific questions are on history. Lower years. Which King of England preceded William the Conqueror?
William II. No, preceded. Edward the Confessor.
Incorrect, it's Harold Godwinson. For your upper years, who is the only British Prime Minister to ever be assassinated in office?
No, I don't know.
It was Spencer Perceval.
Okay.
Opening to the floor. Who was the first woman to hold a seat in British Parliament? Schoolhouse Lower.
Margaret Thatcher.
Incorrect, it's Nancy Astor. To the floor. In which country is Montego Bay? Hausman.
Cuba.
Incorrect, it's Jamaica. In which century did the Crimean War take place? Hausman.
19th century.
Just about, yes. Please make sure you answer quickly. Politics, for your lower years. Who was the 40th President of the United States?
George H.W. Bush.
Incorrect, it's Ronald Reagan. For your upper years, what is the national anthem of Germany known as? It's the Deutschlandlied, or the Song of Germany in English. Up to the floor. What is the standard monetary unit of Turkey? Hausman.
The lira.
Correct. Housman Hall. You've got politics. Lower. Which Irish political party is named after the phrase meaning "we ourselves"?
Like Shedvig?
Again, sorry?
Shedvain?
Sinn Féin, yes, correct. For your upper years, who did Bill Clinton have a sexual affair with in his presidency?
From Eminem.
Housman Hall,
Mariah
you
Carey.
can't confer.
Mariah Carey. Oh, no.
Mariah Carey. No, it's Monica Lewinsky. That bring a whole new meaning to this song, All I Want for Christmas Is You. Up to the floor. Who wrote The Female Eunuch? I'll pass that one on. Thank you. To the floor. Who was the sick beggar cured of leprosy by Jesus? Who was the sick beggar cured of leprosy by Jesus? I'll move that one on. When You Wish Upon a Star is from which Disney film? Schoolhouse Upper.
Pinocchio.
Correct. Schoolhouse, you've got language. For your lower years, what does ciabatta mean in Italian?
Bread.
Incorrect, it means slipper. For your upper years, what does farfalle mean in Italian?
Was what?
Farfalle. How am I doing?
No idea.
Means butterflies. Again to the floor. From which drug are codeine and morphine derived? Hausman Upper.
Cocaine?
Incorrect, it's opium. Again to the floor. From which drug are codeine and morphine derived? Schoolhouse Lower. Hurry up.
Do you ask?
Okay, I'll move that question on. That's incorrect for both Hausman and School. Again to the floor. Shogi is a Japanese form of which board game? Hausman.
Chess.
Correct. Hausman, your specific questions are on physics. To your lower years, to the nearest 10th place, what is the acceleration due to gravity in meters per second on the surface of the moon?
Wait. 2.1?
It's 1.6. For your upper years, the electric constant, also referred to as the permittivity of free space, has a value of approximately 8.854 times 10 to the minus 12 when measured in which units?
Newton.
Sorry?
Newton.
What, sorry?
Newton.
Incorrect, it's in farads per meter. Up to the floor. After whom is the month of July named? Hausman.
Julius Caesar.
Correct. Hausman, you've got languages. For your lower years, what does comment allez-vous mean in French?
How are you doing? You know?
Sorry?
How are you?
How are you? Yes. Upper years, how do you say, what does that mean in French?
What's that? That's the one thing we should know.
No, pass.
Que veut dire ça? To the floor. In which English city is the National Railway Museum? Hausman.
Manchester?
Incorrect. In which English city is the National Railway Museum? Lupton Upper.
London.
Incorrect, it's York. Opening to the floor. Opening to the floor. What would you find in a formicary? What would you find in a formicary? Lupton Upper.
Bees. Wasps.
Incorrect. Up to the floor. Yes, Hausman.
Ants.
It is ants. Hausman, your questions are on biology for your lower years. What type of skeleton do humans and most other vertebrates have?
Sorry, can you ask the question again?
What type of skeleton do humans and most other vertebrates have? How's we going to have to ask you to hurry
Yeah,
up?
I'll pass.
It's an endoskeleton. For your upper years, born in Sweden, who is known as the father of taxonomy?
Can you repeat that?
Born in Sweden, who is known as the father of taxonomy?
Linnaeus.
Correct. There are 2 more questions left. The scores currently lie at Hausman on 8, School on 5, and Lupton on -2. What is meant by the musical term andante? Schoolhouse lower.
Walking pace.
Correct. Schoolhouse for your lower years. What is the name of the main blood vessel that supplies the kidneys with oxygen?
The renal artery.
Correct. For your upper years, in which stage of meiosis do homologous chromosomes pair up and form a bivalent?
I don't know any biology.
The third.
Prophase 1. Back to the floor then. Which saint's day falls on the 17th of March? Hausman.
St. Patrick's Day.
Correct. Your subject-specific question is on English. Hausman, please can you spell indict for me?
INDICT.
Correct. For your upper years, how were Acton, Ellis and Currer Bell better known?
As the 3 women white writers who put the name in as men.
Yep. We spoke with Mr. Williams about this, Josh and I did, in English 2 days ago. Jack also knows what the answer is.
Can you repeat?
Did he answer?
How were Acton, Ellis and Currer Bell better known? Shall I move on? It was the Bronte sisters. Thank you very much. That was the last question. So, the scores currently stand at Housman Hall on 10 points, Schoolhouse on 8 points, and Lupton on -2 points. So, Lupton, please, would you leave the stage? Got to reset the scores now. So, Schoolhouse and Hausman, you've made it to the creative round. This will be questions on arts, questions on literature, and questions on music and musicals. Both of your points will now be reset to 0, so this is what it all comes down to. The first team to press their buzzer will be named by me, and then you must answer immediately in the same fashion, 2 or 3 seconds. There is no conferring, and there can be no delay. If the answer is wrong or delayed, you will lose 1 point. The team with the highest score from the creative round wins. So, please turn over number 1. The audience will be about to see what it is as well. This is art. This drawing was made around the year 1490 by Leonardo da Vinci. By which name is the drawing known? Schoolhouse.
The Vitruvian Man.
Correct. Okay, next question. Music and musicals. The song You Can't Stop the Beat is the finale of song of which musical?
Hairspray.
Schoolhouse, correct. Literature. What is Moby Dick? Hausman.
A whale.
Correct. Please turn over number 2. So the painting that you can see and the audience can see depicts a painting from a scene of a civil war. Which civil war? Housman Hall.
Spanish Civil War.
Correct. Heidi is about to play you a piece of music. I'll then ask you a question on it after she's finished playing. Please, in the audience, while we have performers and readers performing, playing, reading, whatever, please be quiet. Thank you. Thank you, Heidi. The extract Heidi's just played you is associated with a profession. What is the profession? Schoolhouse.
Pirate.
Sorry?
Isn't it being a pirate?
Pirate.
Never mind.
If you don't know the answer, don't buzz.
I don't think that's close enough, I'm sorry. Hausman, what do you think it is?
Sailor.
Correct. Question on literature. In Jonathan Swift's 1726 novel, the inhabitants of Lilliput are remarkably tiny. What is distinctive about the inhabitants of Brobdingnag? Schoolhouse.
They're really big.
Correct. Both teams, please now turn over number 3. In which cathedral is this rose window located? Schoolhouse.
Notre Dame.
Correct. Tristan and Lily Rose will now come up and play an extract, which I will then ask you a question about.
I am not a stranger to the dark. Hide away, they say, 'cause we don't want your broken parts. I've learned to be ashamed of all my scars. Run away, they say, 'cause no one will love you as you are. But I won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for we are glorious.
Thank you very much, Lily and Tristan. To both teams, please can I ask that when a performer is performing, reading or singing or whatever, you don't confer with each other just so they're not put off. So, you've just heard an extract from This Is Me, a number from The Greatest Showman, a film centering around performers in a 19th century freak circus. What distinction puts the opening singer of This Is Me in the circus? Schoolhouse.
She's a bearded lady.
She is, thank you. Anne, you will now come up and read an extract. I will then ask you a question once she's finished reading it.
Though much is taken, much abides. And though we are not now that strength which in old days moved earth and heaven, that which we are, we are. One equal temper of heroic hearts, made weak by time and fate, but strong in will, to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield.
Thank you, Anya. You've just heard an extract from Tennyson's Ulysses. This poem was featured in the 23rd James Bond film. In the film, who says this quote from the poem? All these questions need to be answered. Hausman. Correct. Please turn over number 4. This is going to be a question on art. The work of art you can see in front of you was created by Renaissance sculptor Donatello. The cartoon series, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, names its 4 main characters after Renaissance artists, Donatello being one. Name the other 3. Housman Hall.
Donatello, Michelangelo, Raphael, and
Leonardo.
Correct. Just about. Tristan will now play you an extract. I will then ask you a question once he's finished playing it. The scores are currently 5-5. So Tristan's just played you an extract from Queen's Don't Stop Me Now, a song in which Freddie Mercury likens himself to a rocket ship. With which planet does he claim to be on a collision course? Hausman.
Mars.
Correct. Question on literature. In Dante's epic Inferno, Dante is guided through hell by a classical poet. Who is the poet? I'll give you a hint. He is a Roman poet. For the sake of making sure all the questions are answered fairly, wrong answers will not be penalised, but given to the other team. Yes.
Cicero.
Incorrect. Schoolhouse. Who do you think it is?
Ovid.
Incorrect. It's Virgil. Please turn over number 5. This work was painted by Botticelli and depicts the birth of a Roman deity. What's the name of the painting, Hausman?
Venus.
What's the name of the painting, Hausman?
The birth of Venus.
You've already answered. Schoolhouse. What's the name of the painting?
Birth of Venus.
Correct. I asked for the name of the painting, which was The Birth of Venus, and not just Venus. Archie will now come up and play an extract. Thank you, Archie. So Archie's just played you an extract from this George Michael hit. What's it called? Hausman.
Careless Whisper.
Correct. Anne, you will now come up and read another extract.
It would kill the children because they had, by some amazing accident, hurt it. But it would make them suffer first because for one brief moment they had made it fear them. Come to me then, it thought, listening to their approach. Come to me, children, and see how we float down here, how we all float.
Thank you, Anya. The extract you've heard just came from Stephen King's It, which is absolutely terrifying. Name the 2 actors who have played Pennywise the Clown.
Tim Curry and Bill Skarsgård.
Correct. You're obviously a far braver man than I am. Please turn over number 6. The work you can see in front of you was painted by Dutch artist Rembrandt. Which sea does the painting show? Hausman.
The North Sea.
Incorrect. Schoolhouse.
Which is the one that Jesus would
Sea of Galilee.
Correct. Tristan will now play you an opening theme. I will ask you the question first, though, because I think it's quite hard. So, Tristan is about to play you the main theme of a superhero film from the early 2000s. Who directed the film? Who directed this film? Hausman.
Christopher Nolan.
Incorrect. Schoolhouse.
Spielberg.
Incorrect. It's Sam Raimi. The scores currently lie at 8 points to Schoolhouse, 7 points to Housman Hall. There are 3 questions left. Shoot all the blue jays you want if you can hit them, but remember it's a sin to kill a mockingbird, Housman.
To kill a mockingbird. Atticus Lee. Harper Lee.
You had 3 answers. I can only take your first one, which is incorrect. Shoot all the blue jays you want, Schoolhouse, if you can hit them, but remember it's a sin to kill a mockingbird. What's the name of the character who says this quote? Yes,
Atticus.
it is. Tristan and Lily are now going to come up and play an extract for you. I will answer a question after the extract's finished.
No, I'm just a fool who's willing to sit around and wait for you. But baby, can't you see there's nothing else for me to do? I'm hopelessly devoted to you.
The extract you've just heard comes from the musical Grease, which is set in a 1950s American school. What's the name of the school? Hausman.
Rydell.
Correct. This is the last question. Hausman, if you get it right, you will draw on points with Schoolhouse, and we'll have a tiebreaker question. Schoolhouse, if you get this right, you win. In Homer's The Iliad, we're told of a hero named Achilles. He has only one weakness.
His
Schoolhouse.
heel.
What?
His heel.
In Homer's Iliad, we're told of a hero named Achilles. He has only one weakness. How did he get his weakness? Hausman.
His mother dipped him in the river Styx, holding him
She
back.
did.
Let's go!
Alia and Kieran are picking the questions because they're in Walters and Mary Windsor, and that's absolutely no bias then. So, Schoolhouse, if you get this right, you retain your title. Hausman, if you get this right, you take the championship from Schoolhouse. Which writer believed that the semicolon was a pointless piece of punctuation and refused to use it in their later writing? Hausman.
George Orwell.
It was George Orwell. Another round of applause, please, for Housman Hall.